What's going on, everybody? C4 here today, and as promised, in the downtime of the Philadelphia Eagles Connected Franchise Mode, which will be starting back up, I'm going to say within the next 2 weeks, 100%. I don't know, I can't say it's going to be next week or not, depending on how the relocation franchise is going. I want to get that established and going so that when we start the Philadelphia Eagles Connected Franchise Mode, for year number 2, the relocation is well underway, and you get a good balance between the two series. But I did say that I would modify all the draft prospects, have the complete 2018 draft to show you guys. So for those of you that are really diehards, want to see what players went where, this video is for you. I have no idea how long it's going to be, but we're not going to rush. We're going to take our time. We're going to talk about it because it took me like 3.5, 4 hours to complete this file. So yeah, we will start with the Philadelphia Eagles. I did botch. In the Eagles video that I released, I was supposed to show and finish off with the custom draft prospects, but I guess somehow I just forgot to slip that in. So here it is. So in the first, and most of the prospects, you should know from there. We got Saquon Barkley, the only running back to go in the first round, 82 overall. Quick dev. I mean, we had everything that we wanted except of the superstar developmental trait, but that's still looking, what an absolute steal. We got Antonio Callaway here in the 3rd round, Terrell Crosby from Oregon in the 4th round, Cody O'Connell, the guard from Washington State, in the 4th round. We got Daron Payne, the D tackle from Alabama, in the 4th round as well. 78 overall, quick dev trait. This guy was an absolute stud. Not a need whatsoever. Plenty of people were leaving out comical suggestions about trading Brandon Graham or moving Fletcher Cox at the end. I think we're just going to more so sit on Daron Payne. And then I think it'll be one of those things, by the time he's starting to come into his own, that's when Brandon Graham's probably going to be downgrading, starting to slowly regress and stuff like that. And we can assess that there. But it's not going to be in year 2. We got J.D. Moore, the 80 overall fullback from LSU in the 5th round. Andrew Trumbetti from Notre Dame in the 6th round. And the best player on the Florida Gators right now in real life, Johnny Townsend, the punter, with a 72 overall in the 7th round. No more Donnie Longball. The end of an era. So what we're going to do is we'll go alphabetical. We'll start from the Bears and go all the way to the Minnesota Vikings, skipping the Eagles. So for the Chicago Bears, in the 1st round at the pick 6, they selected Connor Williams, the offensive tackle from the University of Texas. 79 overall, 80 overall actually, with a superstar dev trade. He's going to be incredible. And a great pickup to help out Mitchell Trubisky. They got Tyrone Crowder, 77 overall left guard here in the 2nd round with normal dev trade. I'm not even going to say their overalls because, look, they're different. We got anyone else that they modified? Not the strongest of draft classes here. We can act like they got Todd Bowles' kid. But for how many draft picks they had, I guess the first 2 were the ones that counted, but the rest of the draft here for the Bears wasn't anything too special. Moving on to the Cincinnati Bengals in the 1st round, pick 19. They selected strong safety from Penn State, Marcus Allen, 79 overall. He has normal dev trait. Very nice pickup there to try to, recoup. Maybe you're going to pair him with George Aloka, I guess. That would be the safety pairing. In the 2nd round, they got Dante Pettis, the wide receiver from Washington, 72 overall. Great speed, a good return man, because Adam Pac-Man Jones, who's not only a return man, but the only return man that doesn't call for a fair catch ever. I guess that's his moniker. They're going to replace that with Dante Pettis, a nice wide receiver to have there. In the 4th round, they get Azim Victor from Washington, 72 overall middle linebacker with quick dev trait, very solid, underrated linebacker. In the 5th round, they got Damian Harris, the running back from Alabama, quick dev trait, 75 overall. I mean, they do have Joe Mixon, you do have Giovanni Bernard, but Jeremy Hills went to free agency, so I guess they really want to have 3 running backs, a nice little stable there, so Damian Harris is a nice addition there. And then the 7th round, they get Taven Bryan from my Florida Gators. In my opinion, obviously, in my biased opinion, the most underrated defensive lineman in the SEC right now. He's a D-end, D-tackle, hybrid, kind of like Jonathan Bullard was. So we just kept him as a D-end, but he's almost 300 pounds, much more of a D-tackle. But they have a 3-4 in Cincinnati, I believe. Could be wrong there. I don't know off the top of my head. But Taven Bryan, my boy, in the 7th round. Going to the Buffalo Bills in the 1st round, pick 4, 83 overall. They have Maurice Hurst from the University of Michigan. Only normal dev trait, but that 83 overall is absolutely incredible. One of the best D-tackles in the nation. A lot of people are kind of undecided. Is it him or is it Rashawn Gary that's making him look good? But I think Hurst is a very solid defender. Good against the run, good against the pass. 83 overall, maybe that's a little far-fetched, but we might as well have that now. First round, their second first round pick. I think that's the pick that they got. Who did they trade with? The Chiefs? It was the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure. I think Will Hernandez, the guard from UTEP, 81 overall with normal dev trait. Two really, really good picks. Following that up in the second round with Mitch Hyatt, the tackle from the University of Clemson, 77 overall with a normal dev trait. And then the third round, they got Auden Tate, the wide receiver from Florida State. Big-bodied guy, 6'5", 227. Very much in that Kelvin Benjamin mold for a team that really, you got to get a young wide receiver core. Jordan Matthews, yeah. But you do have Zay Jones, and you want to build that. So now they're adding Auden Tate for weapons, I guess, to give Tyrod Taylor. That's pretty much it. They got a 71 center here. We didn't modify or anything like that. Moving to the Denver Broncos in the first round, pick 7. They got Mark Andrews, the tight end from Oklahoma, 81 overall, normal dev trade. In my opinion, he is the best tight end in college football today. So that's why he gets that very generous rating. And a great pickup for a team that really hasn't had a tight end weapon since Julius Thomas. In the second round, they get Vita Valle, the superstar dev trade D tackle. It says he's a 74, look at that, 77, I guess. Incredible pickup. In my opinion, he might be like the last big I don't know if that's racist to say Samoan D tackle, but the last big one was Danny Shelton from Washington. I think Valle, is it Valle? I always Vita. It's Vita Valle, I believe. I think he's better than Danny Shelton. He's a monster, absolute monster. That's a great pickup there for the Broncos that are trying to reload on their front seven ever since they lost Malik Jackson and the such. Then in the third round, they got Josie Jewell, the linebacker here. Only a 67 overall. Kind of got robbed. I wanted to include him. Normal dev trade. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Hopefully he catches on there a little bit. And that is it for the Denver Broncos. Moving on to the Cleveland Browns, who had a just absolute plethora of picks. In the first round at pick number 2, they selected Christian Wilkins, the defensive tackle from Clemson, 79 overall, normal dev trait. Great fit. I believe they're switching to a 4-3, so he's a more natural guy than the Danny Shelton that we were just talking about. With their second pick in the first round, they selected Minkah Fitzpatrick, the defensive back, can play corner, can play safety. We have him as a free safety here. Normal dev trait, 77 overall. So they're not getting too much assistance in terms of the dev traits, but they're getting great prospects. Fitzpatrick to be able to pair back there with Jabril Peppers. I mean, that could be very well elite in 2-3 seasons. In the second round, because for some reason QBs were not going off the board, we didn't even modify the overalls or anything like that. They just weren't going early. We got Josh Rosen here, the quarterback from UCLA, 79 overall, quick dev trait, the second QB taken in the draft, and it's a great pickup there. I mean, they did have Deshaun Kaiser, and he does develop in Madden, but they decided to get a QB here in the second round. It's be interesting to see that battle and how that plays out. They also have in the second round here, they got Alan Lazard, the big-bodied wide receiver from Iowa State, 71 overall with slow developmental trait. In the third of third round picks. Let's try it again. The third of their second round picks, they get Iman Marshall, the corner from USC, 77 overall with normal dev trait. Great pickup there. Did they get anyone else? Did we modify anyone else? Oh yeah, in the 7th round, they got Derek Nadi from Florida State, the defensive tackle. Probably should have went way earlier. Maybe some medical or he didn't test well, so I'm out the field. He is regarded as, probably a fringe top 5 defensive tackle in college football right now. But a great pickup following along. Maybe we'll just say like Caleb Brantley last year, which was a great value pickup for the Cleveland Browns. Moving on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the first round, pick 23. They got Chenna Wosu from USC, very talented outside linebacker, kind of blowing up onto the scene this year after a great year. 77 overall, normal dev trait, great linebacking pickup. I mean, I don't understand the need because they do have Levant. Well, I guess they need another linebacker to pair with Levante David, Quan Alexander. So that's a good fit there. In the third round, they got Mike Evans Jr. here in Simi Cobbs Jr. from the University of Indiana. I'm a big fan of him. That's a great pick. I love how that worked out. The fourth round here, they got Bo Scarborough, the running back from the University of Alabama. It says he's a 68, but he's actually a 72 overall with normal dev trait. Big-time power back to come in. And I don't know if they still have Doug Martin in the roster or not, but he's just another guy to add to their stable of backs. In the 6th round, they got Troy Fumagalli, the tight end from Wisconsin, 76 overall with the normal dev trait. Great value pickup here later rounds. And Fumagalli, definitely a fringe top 5. I'm not even going to say fringe. He is a legit top 5, fringe top 3 tight end in college football right now. I think they lost Cameron Brate in free agency, so maybe they want to continue to have 2 tight ends. So to pair him with O.J. Howard, that's looking pretty nice. Moving on to the Arizona Cardinals, the first round pick 10. They got Tarvaris McFadden, the corner from Florida State, 78 overall with a normal dev trait, the first corner taken. He's an absolute baller. I believe he led in 2016 college football in interceptions. So a very good pick. In the second round, they got Chukwuma Okorafor, the offensive tackle from Western Michigan, 79 overall with a superstar dev trait. They need to build up that offensive line, and Jared Veld here is not going to cut it. Really surprised that they waited long to need a QB, but in the third round, they got Luke Falk, the quarterback from Washington State, 74 overall with normal dev trait. I don't know if Carson Palmer did retire or not off the top of my head, but either that, Luke Falk's going to sit behind him for a year, or maybe they might have to throw him in and start him right away, but the way that he played at Washington State, Wazoo, kind of similar to how Bruce Arians wants his QBs to play and execute. In the sixth round, they get Sony Michel, the running back from Georgia, 74 overall with the normal dev trait, all green, so that's actually pretty good. And then in the seventh round, they get Jordan Whitehead, the safety from Pittsburgh, superstar dev trait, mother of God, 2 superstars. It's Parham Crow drafting for the Cardinals leaders. 2 superstar dev traits, Jordan Whitehead, a little bit undersized. They don't need a safety whatsoever. They probably just took a flyer because you don't need safety with Buda Baker and Honey Badger, but it is what it is. Maybe there's a trade bait in there later. Especially for us with the Eagles, with Malcolm Jenkins getting older. Moving on to the Chargers in the first round, pick 16. They selected Mike McGlinchey, the offensive tackle from Notre Dame, 78 overall with a quick developmental trait. Building up that O-line, adding McGlinchey with Dan Feeney and Forrest Lamp. It's looking good. Looking good long term here for the Chargers. I don't think they got anyone else. That was it. Not a good draft. Not a good draft for the LA Chargers. Moving on to the KC Chiefs, they got Anthony Everett in the fourth round, the corner from the University of Alabama. Outside of that, obviously when they trade the first round pick to, I think it was Buffalo. We'll just go with the Bills to go up and get Patty Mahomes. They just didn't have a good draft. They get a 73 tackle. We didn't modify him to anyone. He has quick dev, but a 62 wide receiver. They blew that pick right there. So definitely not the best of drafts. But hey, Anthony Everett, we had to make sure we had at least one prospect for the Chiefs. Moving on to the Indianapolis Colts in the first round, pick 12. They selected Malik Jefferson, the middle linebacker. He's just a linebacker hybrid. He can play inside and or outside. 80 overall with normal dev trade. There's some debate as to whether or not he's the top linebacker in the country. I think he's certainly right in the mix. And then in the second round, they selected Ronald Jones, the running back from USC, with a 75 overall and the superstar dev trait. I guess the more and more I'm seeing this, it's been 2 or 3 running backs with superstar dev trait, and our boy Saquon Barkley didn't get one, which is a little frustrating. But Ronald Jones is back there, probably going to compete with Marlon Mack for some snaps, as you could only assume that Frank Gore retired. They got MJ Stewart in the fourth round, the corner from North Carolina, very solid, 70 overall. And that will be it for the Indianapolis Colts. Look at the Dallas Cowgirls in the first round, got a tremendous pick. Pick 14, Cameron Smith, the middle linebacker from USC, 80 overall, normal dev trait. Great pickup in case, I don't really know how Jalen Smith develops in Madden. So you have him. And worst case scenario, once Sean Lee gets a little bit older, he gets to retire, one of those guys can move outside. You keep one of them inside. So they're building up that defense. They also got Duke Dawson in the 6th round, my Florida Gator. Really good nickel corner, slot corner. 72 overall with a normal dev trait. So those are the 2 custom guys here for the Dallas Cowboys. Moving on to the Miami Dolphins in the first round, pick 24, they selected Jerome Baker, the linebacker from Ohio State, 77 overall with a normal dev trait. Very good linebacker, good against the run, not a complete liability, dropping back into coverage. So I guess, with Lawrence Timmons getting up there in age, Cole Misi getting up there in age, you want to definitely add some more names to that linebacking core. In the second round, they got Mason Cole, the center from Michigan, 74 overall with a quick dev trait, very solid center, and very, very versatile. He's one of those guys that can pretty much play everywhere on the offensive line. In the third round, they got Lorenzo Carter, the linebacker from Georgia, 78 overall in the third round. He does have the slow dev, which kind of bounces him out a little bit, but still a really good pickup here. 2 decent linebackers, decent to good linebackers that the Dolphins were able to add. They got Deshaun Hand here from the University of Alabama in the 6th round, 70 overall with a normal dev trait, continuing to add to that defensive front. And that will be it for the Miami Dolphins. And we saw our Eagles. Oh, Saquon. Why couldn't you have superstar? Moving on to the Atlanta Falcons in the first round, pick 31. Dan Quinn with his Florida Gator tie selects Martez Ivy, The very versatile offensive lineman will play guard, 77 overall, but probably could swing the tackle if need be with a normal dev trait. They got this fullback here, 76 overall. I was thinking about editing him to a certain player, but I wanted to get him at the tight end spot. So he's the highest guy that I didn't modify, just because there's no really legit fullbacks in college football right now. But overall, actually not the best draft class for the Atlanta Falcons. Moving on to the 49ers, the first round, pick 3. They selected Sam Darnold from USC, 77 overall with normal dev trait. That's not so hot. But, he's definitely going to get plenty of chance to build and develop and gain some XP, as I would assume he's going to start as a rookie staying in California. In the second round, they got Braden Smith, the guard from Auburn, 78 overall with a normal dev trade, kind of in the same mold as Martez Ivey. I think you could probably slide him all over the offensive line. And the second round pick, I believe this is the pick they got when they traded down with the Bears for Trubisky. They selected Darius Geis from LSU, 79 overall. And look, another superstar dev trait running back that we missed out on. Looking really, really legit, kind of odd. I think Carlos Hyde was a free agent, so I guess they do need another running back to put back there with Joe Williams. They got a 73 D end here in the third round. They got Marquise Haynes, the outside linebacker from Ole Miss, 77 overall with a quick dev in the third round. So a tremendous haul here for the San Francisco 49ers. Mr. John Lynch and company having one hell of a draft here. That's probably the best draft outside of our Eagles. Moving on to the Dallas Cowgirls. The New York Giants in the first round, pick 22 again. Just ignoring the quarterback, running back, and offensive line. They decide to go outside linebacker, and they got Obanya Okoronkwo from the University of Oklahoma. 81 overall. Tremendous pick. Just once again, where are they getting this needs evaluation from with the normal dev trait? I guess they just think, I don't even know how to justify that pick. In the fourth round, they got Adam Brenneman, the tight end from UMass, 70 overall, superstar dev trait. That's really awkward looking, but Brenneman is an absolute monster, kind of glorified wide receiver. I don't know why they'd make that pick with Evan Ingram on the roster, but it is what it is. In the sixth round, they got Rashad Penny from San Diego State, 72, even though it says he's 74. Running back with quick dev trait, so I guess they kind of assessed and got a running back here. I don't know. He's probably just going to compete with Wayne Gallman and Darkwa. And for some reason, Vereen gets plenty of snaps for the Giants. But, again, no offensive lineman. Oh, boy. No offensive lineman with the Philadelphia Eagles when I control them, getting like 90 sacks a year. Good job, Giants. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first round, pick 21. They selected Ronnie Harrison, the safety from Alabama, 79 overall with a normal developmental trait. Good pickup there, as they have one of the most formidable secondaries in football with A.J. Boye, Jalen Ramsey, and now Ronnie Harrison. In the second round, pick 21 to move on and kind of replace Mercedes Lewis. They got Mike Gesicki, the tight end from Penn State, 79 overall with a normal dev trait. Some people may consider, even though Mark Andrews went in the first round to the Denver Broncos, is Gesicki the top tight end in college? It's up for debate, and the fact they got that in the second round, really good value pick here for the Jacksonville Jaguars. And then in the third round, adding some controversy to the mix, they selected Baker Mayfield, the quarterback from Oklahoma, 76 overall with the quick developmental trait. We do know that Blake Bortles tends to be very, very overpowered in the sim, so I don't know if Baker Mayfield's ever going to get an opportunity to start. Maybe he'll be more so trade bait or be a big name eventually on free agency, but interesting nonetheless. And that is it for the Jags. But, oh no, they also got Micah Kaiser from Virginia. We modified him, 70 overall. Good draft class for the Jags, especially it's very top heavy. Moving on to the New York Jets in the first round with the first overall pick, surprising the entire league. They selected James Washington, the wide receiver from Oklahoma State, 78 overall, superstar dev trait, so he looks the part, looks like an absolute monster, but you got to kind of question the fact that they didn't go QB. Very, very controversial, but he's a enticing prospect. In the second round, they got Frank Ragnow, the center. Oh my God, another superstar. Frank Ragnow, the center from Arkansas, 77 overall with superstar dev trait. Again, they got 2 home runs, but still don't have a QB. Does it matter if they don't have a QB? Then the third round, they got Nick Chubb, oh my God, 3 superstars. They got Nick Chubb from the University of Georgia, 77 overall, superstar dev trait. So their first 3 picks all have superstar. Their first 3 picks are very Martin Brightful. That is ridiculous. Then I just got wacky. And in the 7th round, we gave them J.T. Barrett, converting from the quarterback spot where he was quarterback at Ohio State, to the running back. I don't know if he'd be a running back or a wide receiver, but we had a couple options between JT Barrett and Quentin Flowers. I decided to go with JT Barrett. 3 superstars. Holy. Moving to the Detroit Lions in the first round, they selected Bradley Chubb from North Carolina State, defensive end with pick 15. 79 overall with a normal depth trait. This guy's an absolute beast. And that the Lions defense continues to improve. Is that all they got? That's all they had. So not a great draft class for the Lions, but they did get a big, impactful player in the first round. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers, the first round pick 25. They selected Quentin Nelson, the offensive lineman from Notre Dame, 76 overall, quick depth trait, regarded as the top guard in this year's draft class. Try to protect Aaron Rodgers. Try to help establish a run game there in Green Bay. Did they get anyone else? You got DeAndre Goolsby, the tight end from Florida here in the third round, 73 overall with a normal dev trait, good receiving tight end. And then the sixth round, they got Lowell Lutulele, 72 overall, good D tackle from the University of Utah with a normal dev trait. I think he's related to Star Lotulelei of the Carolina Panthers. I would assume probably cousins or something like that. But some decent playmakers here for the Packers. Not the strongest draft class, but acceptable. Moving on to the Carolina Panthers. First round, pick 5. They got Derwin James, the safety from Florida State, 80 overall with a superstar dev trait. You know, some people do, kind of argue he is the pound-for-pound best player in college football. An excellent pickup here for the Panthers. Need to get younger at safety. They had Mike Adams, Kurt Coleman. Need to get a playmaker back there. Derwin James is a monster. In the second round, they get Adonis Alexander, the corner from Virginia Tech, 78 overall. Already has low confidence. Has the slow dev trait, but that is a decent pickup right there, especially if he can develop into something. We just kept this guard here as is because literally we ran through all of the guards we wanted to use early. But in the 7th round, we have Jalen Samuels, the weapon, classified as a tight end, H-back, fullback, whatever, from North Carolina State, 5'11", but he's 71 overall with a normal dev trait, and a team like Carolina has some gimmicky plays that they'll find a way to get him involved on the offense as a rookie. But there is where Derwin James has landed. Moving to the New England Patriots in the first round, pick 27, they selected Kaiser White, the safety from West Virginia, 80 overall with a normal dev trait, trying to move on from Patrick Chung. And then in the second round, they got Josh Allen, the QB from Wyoming. Is he the future? He's the guy that I think they may try to move on from Tom Brady with. Maybe it still might be Garoppolo. We have to wait and see, but they did bring in Josh Allen, who from our NCAA series won the Heisman Trophy, and crazily enough, found his way to slip into the second round. And, of course, if something like that ever did happen, the Patriots would be the one to reap the reward. Moving to the Oakland Raiders in the first round, pick 20, they selected Equanimeous St. Brown, the wide receiver from Notre Dame, 75 overall. Got the 92 speed, the 6'5". He's creepy. They missed out on Calvin Johnson before. Do they have the second coming of Calvin Johnson? Maybe. Then in the second round, one of the best value picks of the draft, they selected Royce Freeman, the running back from Oregon. He's an 80 overall, but when you look at this, 83 overall, normal dev trait. Pretty much have to get someone to replace Marshawn Lynch, and Freeman can definitely be that type of back. And that's it. Not a terrible draft class, though, here for the Oakland Raiders. Moving on to the Rams in the first round. Pick 9, they selected Harold Landry, the outside linebacker, defensive end. We'll just call him an edge rusher from Boston College. 80 overall with the normal dev trait as Wade Phillips tries to reload and make this defense. Right now they're like a fringe top 10 defense, probably on the outside looking in. With a guy like Harold Landry, definitely helps to improve that reputation. In the second round, they got Martinez Rankin, the guard from Mississippi State, 76 overall with a quick dev to try to help build that line for Todd Gurley and Mr. Jared Goff. And in the 7th round, somehow slipping, we'll just say due to injury because there's no way he probably lasted the 7th round. They got Sam Hubbard, the defensive end from Ohio State, 73 overall with a normal dev trait. Moving on to the Baltimore Ravens in the first round. They selected the top center in college football, Billy Price, with the Super Bowl champion Baltimore Ravens. That seems really weird to say. They got Billy Price, 77 overall with a superstar dev trait. They haven't really had a decent center since Jeremy Zuttah left. That's a great pickup there for them. And then the second round, they got Darren Carrington, the wide receiver from Utah. Only a 70 overall. There wasn't a whole lot of talent here at wide receiver in this year's draft class. But Carrington is pretty serviceable. I'm a big fan of him. So we'll see what happens there, what he can develop into. There's a couple decent pickups here that we didn't really modify. I probably robbed them the most of real prospects. We got some 75 center. We got double centers. I guess we're just gonna try to run just have as many centers on the field as humanly possible. But a good draft class here for the Baltimore Ravens. Moving on to the Washington Redskins in the first round, pick 17. They selected Orlando Brown, the tackle from Oklahoma. It says he's a 75, but he goes 72. I don't know if that's a scheme fit. This guy is an absolute mammoth of a man, 6'8" to 360 pounds with normal depth trade. I don't know why they went after tackle in the first round. You got Morgan Moses. I mean, maybe you eventually want to move one of those guys to fill in for Trent Williams when he retires. Don't know about this pick, but then again, head-scratching moves done by the Redskins front office. That's, does the Tin Man have a sheet metal cock? Probably. Then in the second round, they got Tyquan Lewis, the defensive end from Ohio State, 78 overall with a quick dev trait. Great pickup there, kind of making up for the first round. Decent guard there, and a decent safety overall. Not a bad draft class here for the Washington Redskins. Moving on to the New Orleans Saints in the first round, pick 13, they selected Calvin Ridley, the wide receiver from Alabama, 77 overall with that superstar dev trait. He's a beast. Him, Calvin Ridley, and James Washington look like the two premier first-round wide receivers from this year's draft class, giving Drew Brees another weapon. I mean, maybe some people question, do they need to go wide receiver? But Ted Ginn's only getting older. And if you want to try to make a run with Drew Brees, add another weapon could certainly help. And then the third round, this worked out perfectly. They selected a quarterback, 77 overall. Very easy to make that. Mason Rudolph from Oklahoma State, 77 overall with a normal dev trait as the predecessor for success. No, predecessor, that's before. He'd be the successor, of Drew Brees there in that offense. That's definitely one to watch. I guess 71 overall tight end in the fourth round. So decent class, top heavy here for the Saints. Moving on to the Seattle Seahawks in the first round, pick 26. They got Clelin Ferrell from Clemson, 79 overall with a normal dev trade. Going defense again, just ignoring the offensive line is as the Seahawks only could do. I mean, they got a 73 tackle here in the second round. We didn't modify him to anyone. He wasn't that great. Only one player here for the Seahawks. Another questionable draft, you could say. Looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers in the first round, pick 28, they got Jair Alexander from Louisville, 77 overall with a superstar dev trait. So you already found yourself a long-term partner there with Artie Burns in that secondary. That's a tremendous pickup there for Jair Alexander. And they got a 71 running back here in the fifth round. Looking at the Houston Texans, no one. Not with that. That's a terrible draft. I couldn't even modify anyone. They got a QB, I guess. Terrible draft class. Really, really bad. And considering they were what? If they had the second pick, they were the second worst team, and they didn't get anyone. Things are awry there in that Texans organization. I know a lot of Texas fans don't even like, Maurice something or something like that, their current GM. I just remember from Hard Knocks, not a lot of people like him anyways. Moving on to the Tennessee Titans with pick 8 in the first round. They got Arden Key, the outside linebacker, edge rusher from LSU. He's actually, I guess, an 83 overall superstar dev trait. This guy's an absolute monster and definitely one of the best picks in this year's draft class. Tremendous pickup there for the Titans. They look like they're moving on from Derek Morgan. The second round, they got Anthony Miller, local guy from the University of Memphis. Very good wide receiver, 72 overall. Has a slow dev, but maybe he can work on and grow and improve that at least into a normal dev trait. They got a couple 70s here as well. Overall, not a bad draft class. Top heavy, but adding Arden Key is a tremendous pickup there for that Titans defense. And finishing up here with the Minnesota Vikings in the first round, pick 18. They selected Cortland Sutton, the wide receiver from SMU, 76 overall with that quick developmental trait. Again, questionable pick. Do they need a wide receiver with Stephon Diggs, Laquan Treadwell, Adam Thielen? Probably not. So, I guess question marks are from this. They got a 72 fullback there, or a free safety. Yeah. So that's pretty much it. The only thing that I really need to make note, the only players, you need to understand that anyone that I didn't see that's really good are going to be in next year's draft class. That might go in real life this year, just to try to balance it out. So for the quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson, we're gonna try to use Lamar Jackson. Next year he didn't declare. There was no. It was getting real tight to even use the QBs that we decided to use. The running back spot, Bryce Love, Mark Walton, they'll all be next year. Wide receiver, Christian Kirk will be next year. Deion Kane will be next year. Those are probably the two big names at that position. Tight end, I don't know who gives. No one really cares about tight end there. Offensive line, you got Trey Adams from Washington. He might be the only notable omission. He'll be probably the top tackle off the board in next year's draft. For defensive linemen, no one really. Maybe Dorrance Armstrong Jr. He'll be next year. For linebackers, you got Tremaine Edmonds, Porter Gustin, TJ Edwards. Plenty of linebackers that might declare this year. I'm going to be using and carrying them over to next season's draft. At the cornerback spot, maybe Denzel Ward or Quentin Meeks or Isaiah Oliver. Those are 2 corners that you will see next season. And at the safety spot, there's no one really. We didn't miss any safeties. We're able to get them all in for this season. So overall, guys, that is the summary of the 2018 draft class in Madden in our Philadelphia Eagles Connected Franchise Mode save. So I guess at this point, there is going to be a slim, but there's a chance if I miss any prospect that absolutely needs to be used, that I probably won't use or I might miss, and they're a senior, for example, and I won't be in next year's class. Let me know in the comment section below, and I might be able to squeeze them in before we restart up Season 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles Connected Franchise Mode. As I stay at the top of the video, that will be coming sooner than later within the next 2 weeks. We are still continuing with the Relocation Snowhawks franchise, so I hope you guys are digging that. If this is your first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.